Hi guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a Ganzo. This is the G738. I have it in orange. I've got it in wood as well. I got this knife just back in November, and then the end of the year stuff came around and all my plans and things, and then I forgot about this knife, and so I'm finally remembering to do my review of it. So here we go. This is our Sunday review. I just noticed this morning that we're at 1,400 subscribers on this channel, and we've got 3 or 4 more days, depending on how you count it, until our 1-year anniversary on March 31st, 2017. So it's just unbelievable that this channel has grown that much. Thank you guys so much for being subscribers. But let's get on with this review. So we've got this knife, comes in G10, comes in wood. You can only get it with the satin scales if you're interested at all in another Ganzo knife, one that has a very comfortable handle shape. Then stick around for this review. As is very common with Ganzo, we're talking about a knife that's got 440C stainless steel. Although the blade shape is a little bit different than what we usually see with Ganzo. This is more of a, well, it's a drop point, but it looks a lot like a spear point. It's a longer, narrower blade than a lot of Ganzo's knives are. You know, the one big exception is this guy, which has a long, narrow blade. It's actually more narrow than the 738. This is the F746, which used to be the G746. Of course, a newer knife than this one. The G738 came out quite a while ago. I do not know if they are planning an F738 or not. What that means is I'm not sure if they're upgrading this knife to the Firebird series or not. I hope they do, because it's a nice knife. I like it quite a bit. We've got a saber grind here, which is like a 3/4 flat grind, if you will. We've got a swedge up here that actually, the tip of the swedge here is thinner than it is where it terminates over there, which is kind of interesting. But what that does, in effect, is it keeps the blade stronger near the tip. So you've got a strong tip on this piece of steel. This knife pierces very well. It's a good, stabber, if you will. And, it's a nice knife. You get 2 inches of flat area right here after this belly. So it's good for a variety of different styles of cutting. Let's get into more of the specs before we get on more on what I like and don't like about this knife. So we've got a cutting edge of 3.48 inches, which is 8.85 centimeters. Behind the grind, it's 0.26 inches thick, which is 0.65 millimeters. So that's just where the grind terminates, and you start seeing the just where the final grind terminates, the cutting edge, and it turns into just the basic saber grind there. The thickness of the steel right there is an important factor determining on how well it will slice and cut and what kinds of things that it's good for cutting. That's sort of an all-purpose kind of size right there. It's not thin enough for filleting. It's not so thick that it's a problem for cutting stuff. The handle length is 4.73. You can just say 4 3/4 inches, 12 centimeters, 12.03 centimeters actually long. The handle thickness is right at 1/2 inch, 1.28 centimeters. The open size of this knife is 8.29 inches, which is 21.06 centimeters. So it's a very all-purpose kind of EDC size of a knife. It's got an all-purpose EDC kind of blade for the types of things that you can do with it, what it's effective for, very much so. The handle shape is very much sort of an all-purpose kind of shape. So you've got a nice belly, you've got a rounded spine, so it fits very well in the palm of your hand right there. And then when your fingers wrap around it, you also get a nice grip. You've got this milling out on the G10 versions right here, which are on both sides, and that really helps for your grip when you grab the knife. The texture on the G10 is, your typical Ganzo texture that they've had for, quite a while. They started off doing a few different textures, but for the last 2 years or so, it's been this same texture, which is grippy enough, but not so grippy that it's annoying. The only jimping on this knife is right here on the handle by the riser right there, and it's the liner is jimped and the handle scales, the G10 is jimped. There's no jimping at all on the blade anywhere and nothing else. This style of handle shape here is good for every kind of grip you can imagine holding this knife in. It'll work, because it's almost symmetrical, not quite on both sides, and then you've got that sort of flattish heel of the handle. So you can hold this knife any way you want, and it's going to be comfortable no matter what you want to do. It's just a really good handle style for EDC, all-purpose everything. Let's talk about all the good stuff that I like about this knife. I already mentioned some of them. I like the swedge up here. That helps give it another layer of attractiveness. If it was just flat from the ricasso on, it might not look quite as nice. So this swedge here helps the look quite a bit. It helps make it look longer and narrower and more dangerous, if you will. I like this drop point. I like how they did the sharpener's choil here. Instead of doing just a choil and then having it come back out, it just sort of comes back and terminates at the end of the knife there. So that's a really good touch. The reason I like these sharpener's choils so much, if I haven't explained it in a while, is when you go to sharpen the knife, you're not going to end up filing into the end of the grind where you've got your grind is terminating and going into the ricasso right there, and you won't mess it up and make it look ugly. You're just going to sharpen to the end here, and everything's going to be nice. The thumb stud placement is really good. It's far enough back so it's not in the way when you slice through things. It's not going to catch on there very easily. And the placement of the thumb stud right there when the knife is closed is perfect, to just flick it open. Whoa! And you can just open the knife really, really easily with your thumb that way. Not a problem at all. I like the axis lock. Ganzo's done a great axis lock for quite a while, and they've done a good job with it. It's a strong enough axis lock. I'm not going to do any spine whack testing or anything on here today. I've done enough of that in previous videos to show that Ganzo's axis lock is actually a very good lock. Yes, I know about the videos that talk about how bad it is. I just totally disagree with them because I've done loads and loads of testing. I have over 60 Ganzo knives with axis locks, and I've tested them extensively. It's a good lock. They call it the G-lock, and it's very effective. You can use it just using the axis lock itself to open and close the knife. The wooden one here is more for, I'm keeping it for its looks and stuff. I took the pocket clip off when I wanted to do some pictures and things, and I lost one of the screws, and so I just took a screw from a different knife, and eventually I'll just borrow one from a different Ganzo knife and put in the proper screw there. But those of you who might have noticed when I was handling the knife that that's a odd looking screw, it's not that way from the factory. That's me. 100% me. Next thing that I like about this knife is I like that they have it in a wood option. Ganzo's wood is very good. Their knives with their wood, I like how the grain is not just straight grain all over it. You've got there was a branch coming out here, and so it looks, you've got your grain turning around here on both sides. That looks really nice on that side. This side is a little more consistent. Really nice. What else do I like about this knife? I like the open pillar construction. It's very clean, very easy to maintain and keep clean. And those pillars have that nice hourglass shape, and then those steps in there. I might show you a close-up of those. I really like those quite a bit. Well, no, that's probably close enough. You don't need a close-up shot. It's a nice, nice, really good looking knife there. The lanyard hole placement is very good. It's right at the very back and at the top there, just where I like it. And let's talk about some of the things that maybe I don't like so much. Ganzo's been around the block a number of times. They know what they're doing, and yet they consistently seem to put the pocket clip too far away from the end of the handle for my tastes. So, you know, your pocket's going to go up to about there, and then you've got that showing out of your pocket. And most guys don't like that. They'd rather have, you know, that, or better yet, that showing. So right now the lanyard hole wins. It's a really good placement for that, but the pocket clip is just merely okay. It's not terrible, you know, but it's just not what I prefer. I do like that it's tip up. The reason I like that is because most guys want that. And Ganzo is doing that on most of their knives these days. Another negative that I'm not too fond of is the weight of this knife. With the G10 version, you're looking at 4.7 ounces, which is 132 grams, and the wooden one is 4.2 ounces with 120 grams. So if they do an F-series version of this knife, I'm very confident that what they'll be doing is they're going to start skeletonizing the liners, and that'll help take off some of the weight. Hopefully they'll get it down to, well, the G10 one, I want it really close to 4 ounces, and the wooden one, they'll probably get it below 4 ounces, which would be a really good thing. So there you go. That's pretty much everything about this knife. Let's try some cut tests. There you go. Cuts through that quite well. We've got some paracord here. I'm going to skimp just a little bit just to save some of my paracord. We're going to do the 3 paracord layer cut test. Just pushing through instead of slicing along. It's a much more demonstrative test on how sharp the blade is. And it just cut through that quite well. And then do the sliding cut test there. That's the slicing there. And it just slices very easily, no problem at all. And I've got some banding here. This is, you know, for molly type banding. It's 1 inch wide. Nice heavy duty banding. That stuff cuts really, really well. And you know, cut test doesn't tell you an awful lot because I could have just sharpened these knives just before I tested them. You know, you don't know. But I did actually, to be honest with you, you know, these are the way the factory edge is. So there you have the knife. What do you think of it? I like it a lot. If you like the video, please click on like, share with your friends, let somebody else know about it. If you want to buy this knife, please check the description section. Remember guys, always cut towards your chum and not your thumb.